You're such an asshole.
All right. Hi, Aaron. How do I get the girls? He's kidding. Just kidding. I'm a 22-year-old living in a major metropolitan city in the United States. I had sparse success with dating in college as a math and statistics double major. I'm quite introverted and studied a lot. I did get dated occasionally. I'm decent looking, but in really good shape. I moved to the city to work as a data scientist at a hedge fund. I am making $150K and am paying off my student loans by the age of 25. So that's good.
He's got his shit together.
He does. What I've noticed now, though, is that it is much easier to date girls. Once they hear about my job, the neighborhood where I live, or the college I went to, I usually get their numbers. A lot of these chicks are obviously just gold digger types, though I've attached pictures of the two most recent for your reference, and they're knockouts.
Okay.
They are model-esque.
Okay.
My question is...
I don't get to see them?
Yes. My question is it worth it going out on dates or pursuing girls that obviously like me primarily for status? I'm not being an idiot by giving them money or buying them things, but it's pretty clear to me they wouldn't be dating me if I hadn't had so much success at a young age. On one hand, if girls want a long-term relationship and just like the fact that I was successful, I'm fine with that. But on the other hand, 100% of these chicks are only interested when I tell them my job, my neighborhood, etc. Thanks, let me know your price. And he signs off as Sean. Let me see if I can find the pictures from the original one. Here we go. Yeah, so that's one.
Okay.
Yeah, cans on her, all right.
Yep.
Yep. And those gals would probably not have given him the time of day in college.
Okay.
And I know the town he's in has one of the most disproportionately larger percentage of women than men for his age.
Okay.
So
he's got a lot to choose from, basically.
He's got a fair amount to choose from. I said...
Well, then the percentages...
Well, hang on, there's more.
Okay.
I said, I want to know what their professional backgrounds are like. I mean, like, are these girls coming up to you like, my name's Tina, and I'm the social worker, and oh my goodness, I just love children, but it's so hard to make it in this city. So it says, what are the professionals' backgrounds like? Like sociology major, $40K a year, living at home, model looking for a husband, any serious work behind their looks, etc. He says, thanks for the reply. One of them is a physician's assistant making about $60K, so that's a legit thing. Tried to get into medical school, but ultimately couldn't get in. She's 21. The other is a junior, majoring in computer science, just turned 20. So these gals actually have a little bit of brains behind them.
Right.
They both want to be moms and raise kids eventually, so they tell me. I'm not committed to anyone right now, but I'm still torn as to whether I should commit to any girl who clearly wants to marry up. I paid for the video response, Your thoughts? Cause,
my thoughts first?
Yes.
My main question would be, are they boring? And if they're not boring, you don't have anything to worry about.
If they're not boring, okay.
Yep. I think paying a little too much attention to the money and status and that whole thing, I mean, it's like when you go fishing.
All right.
Do you feel bad about yourself that you use a lure? No.
No.
You don't. The lure is the lure, right?
Right.
And the fish attack the lure.
Right.
So you've got a lure,
Uh-huh.
and you're trying to land the trophy fish.
Right.
Some of the fish you're going to throw back, and you'll eventually find the one that you want to keep.
Yeah.
And so if they're not boring, if you can have good conversations with them, or maybe not them, with her, if you're trying to find one person, then that's huge. I mean, if you find yourself getting bored, then if they're not intellectually stimulating, if they're not funny, if they're not whatever it is that you're looking for,
right,
that's what you really should be paying attention to.
I would also, in intellectual honesty, argue for these women, because what are women supposed to want? The loser?
Right.
I mean, this is kind of how it should be scripted to work. And now I understand his concerns about gold diggers, but that's why I asked what these women were doing in their background. And they're not sloughing off. If they said that they're majoring in journalism and they go live back at home in Connecticut or whatever, rich place they're from, I'd be a little bit worried. But they're majoring in real shit.
Right.
And they also have to be very pretty girls, too.
Right.
And women, what are they supposed to? They should be going after.
Absolutely.
That's why you going into that field. That they should be looking for a guy who can support himself. The issue is, are they going to support themselves? Because you know that I make my own money. Mm-hmm. Do I support the GF?
I don't think so.
No, you pay your own rent. Mm-hmm. So they should want to have a guy who's a winner. it was like the car he drove, then I'd start worrying about it because that's a material thing. But it's like, oh, you're a data scientist. You have a good career. That's the benefit of being a hardworking man and successful. Is now you get to choose from these high quality women, and so far they looked very high quality, both in the looks and the education department.
Right. Well, is he flaunting his $150K salary? I mean, that would be. I mean, you can't criticize women if you are driving a really fancy car or you are wearing really fancy clothes.
Well,
or, I mean, if you're really polishing up that lure and it's a little too gaudy and it's a little too shiny, I mean, then you can't blame when all the fish start biting on it.
Right.
If you're trying to attract the right type of person, maybe you don't want them to know exactly how much money you have if you're really concerned about that.
Well, and that's what I was saying. It's kind of too late. He told him,
right?
Because I'll tell you this: if I ever made $150,000,
don't tell anybody.
I wouldn't tell anybody.
No,
I wouldn't tell a fucking soul.
Right.
I remember in college and in my 20s, even my 30s, I had the Gutless Cutlass, and I also had the Chevy Caprice Classic, just as two wonderful dongs. And I would take girls out in those cars.
Yeah.
And
that
would screen out all the gold diggers like that. And there was even the one gal in North Oaks, gated community, her mom wanted me to park the car away from their house because it was such a shitty car. So, I mean, you don't want to be...
Mrs. DT, I drove a little tiny Toyota pickup. Talking back about what your parents allowed the children to drive in college for safety reasons. Yeah. There is a happy medium. I drove a pickup truck, rear-wheel drive, that the idle had to be set high so that the engine wouldn't die. But there were no brakes on the back tires, so in snowy, icy Fargo, the front brakes would be on and the back tires would be spinning and pushing me into the intersection that I was stopped at. And so one morning we got stuck on a little hill when I was bringing Mrs. DT and I to school for that day, and I looked at her and I said, well, get out and push. And so she had to get out in morning traffic and push me out of a little tiny, it was a spring. The snow was melting. It melted in the shade and froze. And there was just one patch where the tire got stuck, and I wasn't able to move forward.
Yeah,
So she was a keeper then because she's still stuck with me.
Right. Yeah, with him, and any guy who makes a fair amount of money, I mean, there's that temptation. But there's got to be something where, like, he's a data scientist. He doesn't have to say that he makes 150. He says,
no.
I'm a junior data scientist. So there's still the long-term potential, but you only make $55,000 a year. You know?
What do you say when, like if a girl actually asks you, how much do you make? I'm sure they do ask that. What do you just say?
You lie.
Enough? You just say enough. I would say I make enough.
No.
No?
No, you lie. What are they gonna do? Grab your 1099s and look?
No. Right? Why would you even answer the question? Just say it's none of your fucking business.
Well, because if a girl's asking that, you don't want to. I guess at that point, then you could tell her the truth because you're just gonna fuck her and leave her. Then if she's that obsessed with her income. Yeah. But I'm just saying, in general, to have the gold diggers weed themselves out. Junior data scientist.
Yeah.
Just started making $60,000 a year.
Right.
In this very expensive city, which is not that much. So if Smarko would say, okay, he's just starting out, but he's got a really good degree, and he does have a job. But if you go in there...
And he's funny and interesting, and I like him.
Mid-six figs, and I work at a major corporation. Oh, fuck, dude. No, you can't take that.
Then you got the really shiny lure.
Then you got the really shiny lure. And
attracting everything.
Yeah, and you don't know who's your friend and who's your foe.
Right.
And so going forward, I would lie, for lack of a better word, lie. Don't necessarily
It's like Coming to America, right? The movie Coming to America with Eddie Murphy, where he's the prince. So he's the prince, and he comes back and he works at basically a McDonald's, and he pretends to be poor because he wants to find somebody that likes him for him rather than being a prince.
Right. I had a doctor in a major metropolitan area who ended up becoming the president of the hospital.
Okay.
And he had the pimp-ass condo and the fancy thing. He's like, oh, these girls just want it. I said, send me a couple pictures of the girls. I'm like, you could tell. Like, he's 50 and these girls are 25 and they're bimbos and they're dressed. I'm like, dude,
What do you think they're there for?
What do you get rid of your okay?
If you're okay with that, then fine, be okay with it.
Right, but then at that point, you might as well just get a prostitute.
Right.
Why dispense with the formalities? So I told him, look, you're renting that condo for a buddy and house sitting. Okay, it's not yours, and he gives you a great discount. And you're an orderly or a nurse. You're not a doctor.
Yeah.
And the fuck if you're the president of the goddamn hospital? Hide your business cards, hide your badge, wear your scrubs or whatever it is, and then get rid of your cars.
Yeah.
And that took care of the problem.
Wow. Yeah.
Because it was
And then did he find somebody that actually?
I don't know. I'd love to hear from him again. I'd love to hear from him. So.
Yeah, you can't blame. I mean, you can't blame the women if you're dangling that really shiny lure in front of them. You can't blame them.
Oh. In
blaming
general policy,
the women would be just like the whole rape culture thing, right? Isn't that the corollary? Where women dress all scantily clad and they wonder why guys are
hitting on them, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing in reverse. If a guy is, driving the fancy
Mid
car and all that kind of
yeah,
stuff,
yeah.
and why are all these gold diggers coming after me? It's the same thing.
No, you gotta. Right,
Cappy's fading.
Cappy's fading. So that's the general policy. But as of now, with these two girls, I'm very impressed with the two girls. What little we know about them, they're very attractive. But more important, they're majoring in the right thing. The one that wants to get married and have kids. Here's another thing that he doesn't have to marry these girls tomorrow.
No.
I mean, girls will fuck up. Date them. You'll find out their flaws.
You don't have to marry, period.
Yeah.
I mean, you can have a family without being married.
Well.
You can?
Yeah. Do DTs find a fat chick and fuck her?
I mean, even Mrs. DT and I, after finding out, being red pilled and finding out how horrible the family court system is and all that, it's a real risk to get married.
Oh, yeah.
We probably wouldn't advise people to get married. There's common law marriage. There's all kinds of ways to,
right,
do the same thing without signing that document.
I'm just saying, for his immediate concerns with these two women that he sent, there will be more.
Yeah.
Well, nothing wrong with dating them. That's what dating's for. Find out, and women can fake it a long time.
Yep.
You got dating for like a year or so, and the one gal that wants to get married and have kids, I'd start interrogating. Hey, plus one's what, 20? The other one's 21.
Right.
Oh, those kids don't know fucking jack all shit what they want. Yeah, I wouldn't worry.
Well, they're attractive, and so they haven't lived in reality. They've always had their drink spot for them and had free meals Friday and Saturday nights. So I mean, I feel for these guys that are very paranoid, and like I was just thinking, do you really need to interrogate? Do you really need to like approach everything like, oh my god, I can't open up myself too much? I mean, what about just having fun, seeing if they're interesting?
Yeah.
Not taking it too seriously.
Yeah, but don't tell them you make $150,000.
Right.
Yeah, I was great at that. I mean, when I was just happy, dumb, and dopey, and I didn't make any money, it was great. Girls, they like the fun guy.
Right.
And I don't think. Well, I do know a couple girls, and it actually played to my advantage. But a couple girls, they like me as a fun guy, but I was not marriage material. And so I got to have a little fun and play in sex, but then okay, I got to get serious, and I really want to have a family. And well, Aaron, you live in a basement. I'm like, yeah, I do. Yeah, you're right. And where also that happened a lot? Tall girls.
Yeah.
I think some tall girls are okay dating a short guy, but there's something about their genetics or
they don't. Yeah.
Or the hive, they can't be seen with a short guy. So there are a lot of girls where things were going great, and then it's like,
it's getting a little too serious now.
It's too serious. Yeah. I'm like, all we do is have sex. What's wrong? Serious? I didn't even ask you to go steady. What are you talking? And then they go away. But all right, that's.
I don't know how old was this guy that was asking you?
22.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to advise my girls when they're in 18 to early 20s, if they want a career and it's an actual thing that you need to go to college for, I guess go do the college thing. But if you want a family, go find a guy in his 30s that's got his shit together, and start a family. And so for guys, you can start a family at any time, and if you're in your 30s, go ahead and tap into that early 20-year-old pool and find somebody to start a family with. So And so I have to, if I'm going to encourage my kids to look for an older guy, then I have to encourage guys that are in their early 20s to, maybe you should wait until you're in your 30s and find a suitable mate that's 10 years your junior and start a family.
He's 22.
Right, he's got plenty of time.
You got time, man.
He's got tons of time.
And you got to pay off your student loans. You're not ready to get married anyway.
Right.
And go have some fun.
Yeah.
You know?
Maybe you will find somebody that just is the perfect one. And then nothing's perfect, right? The enemy of the good is the perfect. So there's nobody that's perfect. The enemy of good is perfect, correct. There's the one. That's definitely something that's true in the red pill community. But you got plenty of time, so...
cool. Let's go sit on the patio.
All right, cool.
All right, that's it. Check out, like, subscribe, blah, 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 that, and all that. Will you please take us out correctly?
Well, I say dismissed, but I'll say toodles.